Hey there and welcome to some DC20 character creation. I'm the Dungeon Coach, creator of DC20. I want to do a quick walkthrough here for new people that just maybe heard about the game. Game masters want to familiarize themselves before session 0 where you're going to be making some characters, or of course players want to make some characters. This is a quick guide tutorial where I'm going to coach you all up on how to create a character in 10 simple and easy steps. There'll be full breakdowns on all the rules on this channel, but this one is specifically about character creation, walking you through it. Let's go. So here's the setup. We got our character sheet over here and we got the 10-step quick guide over here. This 10-step quick guide is in the PDF. You can walk through it yourself and this video will help walk you through that process and show it to you. This is just one of the thank you rewards to my patrons for making this whole thing possible and getting us to this spot to be able to launch the Kickstarter. If you're not familiar and if you're new here, the Kickstarter for DC20 launches on June 4th. I can't wait to see what kind of support it gets, and that's also why I wanted to make this video, to get all the new people acclimated to how you make a character in DC20. So if the Kickstarter is live when you're watching this video, jump on that now because there's a ton of huge rewards that are going into that Kickstarter. And if it's after the Kickstarter, there's still a link down in the description. All right, let's go. So this is the character sheet, and step 0, technically, is pick a class. I, in general, like to have a class in mind. You don't have to pick your class out the gate. You really don't have to. As soon as you could pick it last if you wanted to, and then you might have some ripple effects that you might have to go backwards and change some things. But during character creation, it's all happens at one spot. So if you ever go through and you're on step 7 or something and you make a change, you're like, oh, you know what? I want to go back. You absolutely can. But for the sake of this video, we're going to be picking a fighter. All right, we're going to pick a fighter. So with that in mind, character creation in general, this is also your character name, your persona. I have an entire PDF that's going to go over quirks and personality traits and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's just more so flavor things. But we're talking about the mechanics here. So step 1 is your attributes. And there are only 4 attributes in DC20, 2 physical and 2 mental, might and agility, charisma and intelligence. There are 3 different ways to get your attributes: of standard array, which is what we're going to be using here, point buy, and rolling. All are viable methods. In general, I tend to lean towards standard array of a 3, a 1, a 0, and a -2. And we can take these 4 value numbers and place them wherever we want inside of these 4 value spots. Let's go. We're not going to dive into any backstory here, but in my head for this fighter, he is an intelligence fighter. He's a master tactician of the battlefield. He went to school and studied war, battle tactics, and all this sorts of things to be this fighter. We're putting the 3 there. And with all that studying, and he's going to tank charisma. He has a -2 in charisma. He is not the most charismatic person. He's just all facts, and he doesn't have time to be chit-chatting with people. So now we got a 1 and a 0 left to go, and let's go ahead and put 1 into agility. I don't see him, since he's so book smart, I don't see him hitting the gym that often, and the might's going to be a 0, at least functional. Once you put in your standard array, I get 2 bonus points when using standard array, and I can place them wherever I want, except you cannot have this absolute rule in the game. You have an attribute limit of 3. At level 1, you're not going to be able to have attributes of 4 and 5 and all that kind of stuff. That's where the scaling comes in. So 3, I cannot put it in intelligence. That is maxed out. I have 2 points to put into charisma, agility, or might. Now that I've put in those starting numbers, I also get 2 bonus points to place wherever I want, except there is an attribute limit in DC20. At level 1, it's 3. The highest your attribute can be is 3. I'm not going to have level 1s running around with 4 and 5 and 6 and beyond type of attributes. That is the limit you can have, is 3. So I cannot put any bonus points into intelligence. That'd break that rule. So these are my options. Now I got to think about, what does each attribute do? This is a little cheat sheet here of what each attribute does in general. And I'm picturing this guy using heavy armor, which has a might requirement of 1. So I am going to put 1 point there. Now I have 1 point left over. I could put points into charisma to get some sort of grit and some other things as far as social, but I'm just going to tank that whole thing, and I'm going to have 1 more in agility. So I put 1 into might, 1 into agility. There's my 2 bonus points. Let's go. The last part of step 1 is to fill in your prime. I see a lot of people skip this step. It's a 3. It is designed to write something in there. In general, your prime modifier is your highest attribute, which in this case is a 3, and it always in general will be a 3. Now step 2 is saves. Saves, we are going to, again, there's only 4 saves, and we get to choose 2 of them to gain save mastery in. You add your combat mastery, which is +1. Combat mastery is equal to half your level. It's in the top right corner of your character sheet. So I have these little bubbles over here that I can select and choose, and I'm going to pick which ones I get save mastery in. After a little thinking, for the sake of this character, I'm going to put 1 into agility saves right here to kind of be a little bit nimble on the battlefield and dodge around. I thought about going intelligence saves, but charisma saves, what does each of them do? You can see right here, charisma saves affect the soul, the mind control, possession, fear. I want to get a little bit more control over that, so I'm going to put a bubble there. Again, you can choose these role play reasons, tactical reasons, whatever. If you want to try and max out intelligence to get a really good save, you can do that too. And now to fill in the saves, it's a simple +1. Save mastery means you can add your combat mastery, which is half your level, and half of 1 is 0.5, and in DC20 you round up. Across the board, you always round up. So this is a simple +1 here. So charisma is a -2. So normally this would be a -2. But I add a +1, so now it's at least a -1. Whew, still rough. Intelligence is just the 3 right here because I did not add anything. Agility is 2 + 1 gets me to that 3, and then might is 1 plus nothing stays a 1. And there's step 2. On to step 3. Background is super simple in DC20. You get skill points, trade points, language points. That's pretty much it. There's also a background feature, but that's gonna be something that comes online later, and it's gonna pretty much be a simple role play flavor-based thing, so don't worry about that too much right now. But you get 5 skill points plus your intelligence. Oh, look at us being intelligent over here. So normally this would be 5, and if you had a minus intelligence, yes, you would subtract. We have 3 in this case, so that gives us 8 skill points. Another cool thing to keep in mind is in DC20, there's some love given to those knowledge skills: arcana, history, nature, occultism, and religion. How it works is every time you put 1 skill point into a knowledge skill, you get an extra bonus point to put into another knowledge skill. Now careful, you cannot put it into the same knowledge skill because just like the attribute limit has a limit of 3, there is a skill point limit. The skill mastery limit is 1. You can only put 1. You can see here, novice, adept, expert, master, grandmaster. At level 1, you can only put 1 skill point in the things. You can only be a novice at level 1, unless you're specific classes and or human, other things like that, right? So generally, I have to put it in something else, right? So that's how knowledge skills work. Another way to think of it is a skill point can be turned into 2 knowledge skill points if you want to stick to just knowledge. So now I got 8 points to spend. Here we go. The skills are all skills that you're probably used to, and we're not going to get into each one of them, but me flying by, I have enough skills. I probably could do awareness, and then athletics brings me to 2. I'm definitely going to need to be kind of moving around out there. I don't think this character's too intimidating. Acrobatic, yeah, I might need to be able to move around and stuff. I don't see him be too tricky or stealthy. Animal influence, I did say he's not the best at that. Insight, maybe he's good at reading people and watching people. Okay, you know, it maybe offset some of that negative charisma. Investigation for sure, medicine for sure, survival for sure. Now for the intelligence skills, I'm not going to do investigation because this guy's a battle-hardened tactician. He's not an investigator. He's all the knowledge he's got is about war. So he's going to do medicine survival for sure. I've spent 6, so I got 2 left, and I'm going to now spend them down here. So I definitely want to go to do 1 in history, but once I spend 1, I get another bonus point, and I'm going to put in a little religion. So now, like I just said, these 2 spent in knowledge count as 1 because I spent 1, I got a bonus point there, and now I still have 1 left. I'm going to do a knowledge again. This time I'm going to learn a little bit about magic, and I'm going to learn a custom one. I'm calling it battle tactics. As a player, I'm just making this up to further double down on my character's knowledge of battlefields and other, maybe certain kingdoms have certain tactics in battle. Maybe it comes up, maybe it doesn't. I'm fine investing this point. Now for trade points, you get 3 trade points you can put in your little trades over here. They work the same way. You can only put a limit of 1 into each one. So I'm just going to be picking 3 trades, loading them up. So for this character, I picked blacksmithing and cartography, you know, the battle maps on the, you know, drawing all those maps out. But then this last one, I was like, you know what? Let me take this trade point and I can trade in. See what I did there? I can trade in 1 trade point for 2 language points. Nice. And how languages work, I get 2 for 2 points. I can gain fluency in a language. So I can put 2 points here. Let's learn Elvish. There's that one travel abroad internship I took in the Elfland to learn how to shoot all the arrows and stuff. There you go. And speaking of language points, your background also gives you 2 language points and common for free. Everyone gets common for free, so I'm honestly not even going to write that down. So I get 2 more language points, and let's dabble here. I put 1 point into Gnomish and 1 point into Orcish. Now that gives me limited fluency to where I can kind of speak it, but it's real rough. I can kind of understand it, and I can kind of speak it, but people can tell that I'm not really fluent. And maybe that's it again, me traveling around to learn about all the different cultures and all the different battle tactics and stuff. And there we go. Quick time out here. I just forgot that the rest of this video, I forgot to fill in the skills, because after you're done choosing your skills, let's fill them out. That would make sense. So how this works again is it's the same number as what attribute it's connected to. So I'm going to use agility to start off as an example. So I have 2 agility. I do have a bonus to agility here. As you see at the top right here, it says novice 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So whenever you have 1 skill point in something, you get a +2 added to that. So skill mastery gives a +2 to the check. So this is going to be for acrobat. Oh, yep, acrobatics. I have a bonus right here. So 2 + 2 is 4. Done. And now for the other 2, I don't have any bonuses, so the 2 stays a 2 for trickery and stealth. Now up here, I have 1 for my might, +2 because I have a skill mastery, just 1 in athletics. So 1 + 2 is a total of 3. And then 1 stays the same at 1 and so on. So basically the number in this skill column right here is going to be the same as whatever attribute it's connected to. Same thing with intelligence. So these would just all be 3s all the way down. But if you have mastery in this, that adds a +2, which brings this to a 5. Now let me fill them all in. And 2 quick tips is don't forget about awareness. It is a skill and it is connected to prime. And also for your trades, you can choose on your trade, it says what attribute it governs that trade, and you can choose which one you want and add your bonuses there. As you can see here, blacksmithing is might, so that means blacksmithing is going to be 2 for the blacksmithing mastery, plus might gets me to a 3. And then for cartography, I can choose intelligence or agility for that dexterous hand. I'm going to choose intelligence, obviously, so that's 3 + 2 gets me 5. There's step 3, moving on to step 4. This is super simple. The health formula is 6 as a base for every character. Starts off with 6 as their base, then you add your character level, which at level 1 is always 1. So 6 + 1 is 7. That's why there's this simplified formula of 7 plus might. So my hit points right now, there is some more bonuses potentially that you could pick up from ancestry or class, but I'm just going through the process here. So my hit points now are 7 plus might. My might is 1. I have 8 hit points total. Top number is your current hit points. Middle number is the maximum that you have. And then if you get hit and stuff in combat, you subtract down this number. Easiest step so far, on to step 5, stamina and mana points. I, as a fighter, do not have any mana points. So my mana points is a big fat 0. And my stamina points is a 1. Done. And to be clear, you find this in your class table. Literally, your class table has an entire column specifically for this. But in general, all spellcasters have 6 mana, all marshals have 1 stamina, and then there's a spell blade. But anyway, we're a fighter, so we're going back to step 6 now, is defense. The simple formula here for all armor is 10 plus agility. Couldn't get simpler than that. So my physical defense is 10 plus my agility, 12. Done. Now, where this 10 in blue right here comes from a base of 8, plus your combat mastery, which does scale with you as you level. You know, combat mastery, again, is half your level. So it starts off at 1, and at level 2, it stays 1. At level 3, at 4, 5, and you see it keeps growing over time. And the novice bonus for armor, which is novice light armor and novice heavy armor, is a +1. As soon as you put that armor on, there you go. So that is 8 + 1 + 1. That's where this 10 comes from, and then you just add your agility. Now, I am a fighter. I do have access to heavy armor, and I am going to wear me some heavy armor. So my physical damage reduction is a 1. There's physical defense. Now on to mystical defense. Mystical defense is what protects you against those abstract things that wearing armor doesn't really prepare you for. If you get psychically assaulted, it's loud sounds from sonic damage, so psychic damage, sonic damage, radiant damage, and umbral damage, the damage types that affect your soul from the light and the dark and all that stuff. Those 4 damage types are mystical damage types, and they are targeting mystical defense. So the simple formula for that is 9 plus charisma plus intelligence. And now we have the big picture of everything. As you can see, might is connected to health, agility is connected to physical defense, charisma and intelligence are connected to mystical defense. Done. And where this came from is that same base of 8 plus your combat mastery. So yes, it does scale, plus charisma plus intelligence. So for me here, I start at 8 plus combat mastery brings me to 9. Charisma is a -2. Ouch, 9 goes down to a 7, but my intelligence is a 3, bringing me back up to a 10. Roller coaster. I also have notes here for Barbarian Monk. They have different physical defense formulas. Those are listed here, but they also would be listed inside your class. Now, another cool rule in DC20 is if you hit a target and you meet their defense, you deal your damage. Yes. But if you beat that defense by 5, that's a heavy hit and you deal an extra point of damage. 5 more beyond that, beat the defense by 10, that is +2. Oh my gosh, those are called heavy and brutal hits. So on your character sheet, you write down those heavy and brutal hits. So on your character sheet, you fill this out now too, because when your game master says that they hit you, you can easily communicate if it's a heavy or a brutal hit. So all you do for that is start off with this number and add 5 and then add 5 again. So 10 plus 5 is 15, easy, and then plus 5 again is 20. And my physical defense is 12, 12 plus 5 is 17, and plus 5 again is 22. Math. There's step 6. Now we move on to step 7, combat. Your attack and spell check right here is a simple +4. It is that for everybody because it is your combat mastery, which is 1, plus your prime, which is 3, always a 4. Also simple to remind players around the table if they're not remembering, oh, what do I add to my attack? It's +4. Next up is save DC. Save DC comes from the same 4, which is the combat mastery and prime. So 1 and 3, there's that 4, plus a base of 8. So my save DC is 12. Now for the martial check, this is updated now. It is the highest between athletics or acrobatics. All you gotta do is look over to acrobatics, athletics, which one's higher? 4 is higher. That is my martial check. Done. Death threshold is equal to your negative prime. So like prime is 3, it is -3. So if I reach -3 hit points, my character is gone, no longer. But if once my prime goes up to 4, as you keep leveling up, this can also go to -4, gives you a little bit more room there. Move speed, the default move speed is 5 spaces of movement speed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get the idea. Jump distance equals my agility. My agility is 2, nice. And rest points, I have a total of 1 rest point because that equals your level, and I cap is 1. I have 1 rest point, you have 1 rest point per level. Step number 8, we're almost done. Weapons and inventory. I am a fighter, so this is going to matter. In general, if you are not a martial character, this doesn't matter too terribly much, and you're just only going to have access to those light weapons, which pretty much deal 1 or 2 damage. I do have a little cheat sheet of a weapon chart right here that kind of shows what these things are all about. There's going to be 5 weapons for each weapon type in general, for axes, swords, hammers, all that kind of stuff. You're going to have a weapon that deals 1 damage, has a little bit longer of a throw distance, and has a concealable or some sort of special property. That's true for pretty much all weapon types. Then you have like a regular light weapon. It deals 2 damage, and you can throw it, but not quite as far. Then there's the largest version of the light weapons, which is going to deal 2 damage, or if you put a second hand on there, it's versatile. Now it deals 3. Then you got your heavy weapons. One of them is a reach-based heavy weapon, and the other one's just a little bit more damage. So now for weapons, let's go with the simple sword and shield. So I got my sword right here. I'm gonna pick a short sword. I'm gonna pick a long sword. Damage goes in the damage box. The type's gonna be slashing. Done. And you know what? I'm gonna wear a shield. I think this guy's not too worried about dealing damage. He's worried about tactics. So I'm gonna add a shield with shields, heavy shields, add +2 right there. Oh, don't forget this. And now add +2 here and +2 here as well. Now the other thing here, as far as inventory is concerned, is inventory comes half from your background and half from your class. Again, that's gonna be things that are fleshed out more down the road. But right now, it's essentially hand wave. How I handle it right now for game masters is there's a list of equipment that you can pick from. In general, just pick from it. It's absolutely fine. If players get too greedy, I'm like, ooh, too much. I'll have future guides and stuff like that. Comment down below if you want to have a little inventory quick video. But anyway, on to step 9 of ancestries. Now you get to pick what your ancestry is. You might have already picked this. You might already know this. But in general, this is when I fill out the things having to do with your ancestry. But let's look at ancestries. The basics of how this works is there are default traits for every ancestry. The humans have these default traits. All of your default traits will always add up to a total of 5. 2 for this, 2 for that, gets us to 4, 1 more gets us to 5, awesome. And you'll have a 0 point kind of flavor ancestry trait. Now, if you don't want to take the default traits, you can always swap things out. Let's say, you know what, no. I'm gonna lose resilience, which gives me 2 points now, and I can go spend those 2 points on skill expertise, or never mind, let's do 1 trade and 1 human determination. And another cool thing in DC20 is you get to pick 2 ancestry traits, where your parents came from. Maybe one was a human and one was an elf. There's your half elf. So if at the start of character creation you want to choose this right now, you absolutely could. I can look at human, I could look at elf, and I can pick and choose to go shopping. You only get 1 0-point trait, keep that in mind. So I'd have to pick between discerning sight and my undying. And once I pick that 0-point trait, okay, cool. And now I have 5 points to be able to spend and grab. There's also negative attribute traits and all this other kind of stuff. But again, this is not an attribute video. The other thing I will say to clear up things about ancestries though, is you would get 2 ancestries. But if you really want to play a pure-blooded dwarf, comes from a long line of dwarfs, you can absolutely do that. So you would choose dwarf, and then you only now would go to the dwarf, and you would only choose only dwarf traits. Now what the heck, coach, that's not fair. People are picking 2, why would you not always want to pick 2? But now here's the cool part. If you choose not to choose 2 ancestries and you just stick with 1, you still have this in your back pocket for later on. Let's say you level up to level 4 now. You hit level 4 and you get more ancestry traits. But you look at dwarf and you're like, man, I really got all the traits I want from dwarf. Well, let's go shopping. What if you are a cleric, or what if you multi-classed into some sort of holy situation and you look down here at Angelborn? Now I see Angelborn has some pretty cool stuff right there. You know, there's some healing stuff going on, some divine, ooh, interesting, right? Well, now you can choose later on, after you have the foresight of character builds and other stuff like that. Now you can choose your next ancestry and say that it's going to be Angelborn. And by no means does this mean that, oh, now you just found out that a long lost relative is an angel or something. No, you don't have to have this choice of the mechanics of what this is coming from some sort of bloodline type thing. You don't have to do that. You could if you wanted to. Or instead, what if your character was going through some sort of fear character arc and they were having to overcome things and they finally overcome it and now they're brave. So then you could go to halflings and you look at halflings and halflings have a bravery thing. There it is, halfling bravery. So now you're like, you know what? I'm going to pick halfling for my second ancestry trait because I want halfling bravery. Not because I am a halfling, but I like this mechanic. Cool, that's step 9. You added up all these things, add them to your character sheet, update it in all the little spots. Maybe it's adding skills, maybe it's changing thresholds, adding points anywhere else, maybe even adding to your health. Which brings us to the final step, step 10, class features. This is now where you get to actually add in your class features. Your class has a class table. It adds all these things. One thing to keep in mind, don't forget about your character's bonus health. So check that chart and see if you have a +1 because fighters, sure enough, do have a +1, bringing me to a 9 points right there. Let's go. Then for spellcasters and marshals, I just have simple little reminders here. For spellcasters, I always remind them that they can only spend per spell an amount of mana equal to their mana spend limit, which is your combat mastery. Can't spend mana over that. So your combat mastery is 1. You can only spend 1 mana on a spell. You can't start spending 2, 3, 4 mana. That's for higher level stuff. Also keep in mind, if you spend mana, then you always deal at least half damage, even on a miss. If you didn't know about that rule, a lot of people didn't. And in general, think about the rule from D&D where if you cast Fireball and they succeed on their save, they still take half damage because you're spending a very valuable resource of mana in this case. You get the idea. But spellcasters, just like choosing a weapon, kind of, you do have to choose a spell list. Now, currently, this is a pre-made spell list. You can pick and choose your spells. In the future, there will be 3 different spell lists, and you'll be able to choose from a lot more options. Then I also make sure marshals know about their stamina, and each martial class has different ways to gain and spend their stamina. And I explain the general concept of maneuvers, how you can add extra stuff to your maneuvers. You got to pick your maneuvers, all that stuff. And then add in your class features, and you're good to go. You have now created a character in DC20. I hope you enjoy the process. I hope this video helps you speed up that process. I hope the 10-step guide is kind of like the bullet point kind of system that I go with. A lot of times I will say sometimes choosing your class earlier does kind of help sometimes of being able to pick skills and ancestry things and knowing about that. But in the big picture, if you ever make a change and like, oh, you know what? Now that I have this, that means I want to change, and that's a part of all the fluid process. I truly hope you enjoy the prime concept and character creation and being able to make an intelligence fighter and still feel cool and powerful and make that battlefield tactician. Or wait, maybe I should have been a commander. Maybe I could be the commander class. And then you get the idea. So if you like this and you want to know more, I have tons of more videos here on this channel. If the Kickstarter is not yet launched, click the link down below for the Kickstarter to get notified when it launches. Everything matters on the first initial launch. And if you back the Kickstarter in the first 3 days, you get a huge amount of bonus free PDFs. We're going to unlock a bunch of stretch goals. There's going to be a whole bunch more free stuff going into the Kickstarter as we unlock and hit more stretch goals and see how big and bad we can make this thing. And also in the description is going to be a link to a video that I'm going to post on my DC20 YouTube channel that is just going to be a very quick, I'm just going to make a character. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do it for Wizard, and I'm going to do the same process, except I'm not going to talk through any of it, and I'm just going to show you truly like live speed of making a character. It's going to be a bit more chill of a video, a bit more relaxed. Let me know if you like those kind of videos. Comment over there. Subscribe to the channel. Of course, that's a DC20 channel. Hey, the official channel. Who knew? But anyway, I'm going to do that over there. You'll kind of see that. Can't wait to see how the Kickstarter goes. See you on the other side. Stay creative. Think outside the box. Peace.